So I've watched the fourth episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I can't say I remember no at Attin. And this episode was phenomenal. I will be talking about spoilers in this review, so if you would like to avoid spoilers, I released my spoiler-free review early 2 days ago. Check that out. But this episode, let's just jump right in it. And so not only did I say this was a really good episode, I also think this episode did a really good job in showcasing what the two main plots of Skeleton Crew are. The mystery of Attin and these kids going on an adventure and growing as a result of it. Both those things have been always present in this show, but I kind of feel like the mystery has taken a forefront in episodes 2 and 3, while the characters only really took a forefront in episode 1. Though here, both of those plots affect each other, obviously, and they've always have been, but really could feel a good distinction, good balance between the two. And so let's address where this episode picks up. So we obviously know in the last episode they got what they thought was the coordinates to Attin. So part of me was like, there's no way they're getting home that soon. They don't. Instead, they arrive at, I had to write this down, at Akran. Not at Attin, at Akran. One of the 6 jewels of the Republic. And we'll get to that. And SM-33, he does remember the name of this planet, but he can't remember no at Attin. But anyhow, this planet superficially is extremely similar to at Attin, except for it's a bit of a wasteland. Like, everything looks like at Attin, but wrong. So kind of something that you will almost expect out of like a Twilight Zone episode, or even a horror movie or something like that, where things look right on the surface, but there's something wrong about it. And actually, the being a wasteland is kind of the key. But my first thought was like, wait, could there be some time dilation going on? Nope. And I'm glad they didn't go that route. They do figure out what's going on. Well, no, we don't. We don't know how Akron became like this, but considering what Kim said in the previous episode, what's going on is probably not too dissimilar to what happened to the other Jewels of the Republic, of the old Republic, except for Attin, which managed to avoid that fate. So our kids, well, they stumble into basically a clan war between 2 rivaling clan factions. I think they definitely probably took some inspiration from post-apocalyptic films and video games in that regard, like Fallout, and even some episodes of Star Trek even has this kind of going on some of the worlds they mention. And actually, that comparison to Star Trek is actually quite apt. There was actually an episode of Star Trek, the original series, where they landed on a planet that looked very much like Earth. The only difference is that there were no adults, but basically some roaming kids, for lack of a better term. And at first I thought that might have been how they were going in this episode. They didn't. I'm glad that, but that's actually a very apt comparison, because that world is described in universe in the episode as a parallel Earth. This is a parallel at Attin, and I think it's supposed to be showing to us what could befall at Attin if whatever was threatening the other crown jewels. I keep on saying crown jewels. The Republic's not monarchy. The other jewels of the old Republic, if they had not been deliberately lost. And I think deliberately lost is a key thing that's going on. So, like I said, they get caught up, and actually Jude saves them. He probably could have abandoned them, but he didn't. This is supporting my theory that Long John Silver from Treasure Island was a big part of the inspiration. But again, Long John Silver, he doesn't make a full amend of his ways, and since redemption is always a big thing in Star Wars, Jude, I think, will have a strong, true redemption, because he does save them. He basically manages using some bargaining on that with both the clans, mind you, to prevent basically our heroes from becoming child soldiers. Like probably every child is on that plan because of the warring clan situation. He gives the clan that basically took our heroes in. Was able to get them back their herd animals, and all it cost was using Rim's credits on hand, Republic credits. So he identified with them all. Wim calls him something beginning for D. I forget. I should have written it down. But so while he does do that, he does steal from them. He does not run away. He could have. He probably really could have, but he doesn't. And he's also the first one to pick up that there's something wrong with SM33's memory, especially because there's a moment where it sounds like he does remember Attin, but he doesn't. George's trying to figure out that picture just like our kids are. I should say also too, during all this, the daughter of the clan, the warring band's leader that took our heroes in, does see the softness, the kindness in Neel. And Neel, we get some great Neel, we get some great characterization from him, which we were lacking. Way back with episode 1, I expected that he was going to be the moral center of the group, and I think that is really showcased here. He does not see the benefit in fighting. He sees benefit in peace and all that, and being kind to others. Yes, our heroes have that too, but they're given the opportunity to, play with weapons. They're kids. Of course they're going to play with weapons. How many kids have never, ever pretended they were Jedi? Okay, Neel does do that with women in episode 1, but all of us, boys, girls, doesn't matter, when we were kids, we all had our fantasies, and we all like playing with cool toys. Some of us more responsibly than others, but Neel, he does not feel any inkling to even try using the weapons. But Hannah, so the leader's daughter, does see that in Neel and shows him one of the bigger weapons to see how that responds, but instead what she sees is his kindness and all that, which does seem to inspire her that when she becomes the leader, she might be able to take her clan in a different direction, a different path, that while still probably having to fight and all that might eventually lead to peace. Very profound there. And then of course eventually they are basically trying to be set in combat, but George saves them, and then they go to basically the hidden sanctum, which is identical, or we presume is going to be identical, at least on the outside, to the supervisor's tower on Attin. Because everything here, the base that clan was based out of, was the school on Attin, but here it's a military base, or a clan base, residential community, all rolled into one. And this, I think, more than anything, is showing that this planet, something happened to it, and could have been the like I said earlier, the fate that could befall at Attin if it was discovered, if it wasn't purposely lost, or it could be because each jewel was experiment for different form of government. Because there's one thing this planet has that Attin doesn't, besides devastation: a statue. The guy doesn't have his head, but it is a statue. So I'm thinking this planet might have been experimenting not with maybe a droid-run society, but with still a being-run society, but very top-down. Hard to say. But they are given directions to the hidden sanctum, which turns out to be identical to the supervisor's office, and they go up it, and they find a bunch of markers with clan names, including the planet on Akron and Attin and the other jewels of the Old Republic. I wrote them down. So the other four are at Oravin, at Arisia, at Atu, and at Akoda. Lots of at and A names. That's not a coincidence. The fact that all these jewels of the Old Republic have the exact same naming convention, at an A and then another word, is not a coincidence in my opinion. These planets, I think, were some kind of experiment. But all the planets displayed their coordinates except one, at Attin. And then SM33 doing all this, his memory's going a bit weird. He says that he was the one who destroyed it. That takes everyone by surprise. But his memory is kind of being fried. KB speculates if they could somehow fix his memory and all that, the minute circulations. But doing all this, Fern goes off to the side. She's overwhelmed. She's crying. She maybe not full on crying, but she's barely holding it together. And Wim goes to comfort her, to basically be a good friend. And Fern actually expresses her doubts. How she's blaming herself for leading them on to this mess, from nearly leading them into battle where they would not have done well, and says that maybe Wim should have been the captain instead. But Wim says, you got us this far, and he recognizes that he would have never gotten them that far. That he probably, maybe he didn't say it out loud, but you can definitely tell that he realizes that he did not have the skills or the maturity or the gumption to be the captain and actually get them home. He recognizes that in himself now. That's major character development for him. No, he's no longer just in this for adventure. He does want to get home. He's matured. Is he fully mature yet? No. And Fern recognizing that in himself is also great. And the fact that she was willing to tell Wim that, yes, she went off by herself initially, but she didn't no longer run away from that. And that's showing real maturity on her part as well. A good leader will acknowledge their weaknesses and help the people they're leading find their strengths. That's what a good leader does. But she also, based on the conversation with Wim, leads her to basically realize droids do what they're told, and she realized that the reason why SM-33's memory about Attin is all crazy is because somebody told him not to reveal anything about it, just like she did with her nanny droid way back in episode 1 about where she was. That's a really clever connection there. I really thought that was a great callback and shows the development that they thought through all this. So she goes and orders as the captain to SM-33 to tell them what's going on, and that fixes his memory. She gives him a direct order very clearly. Granted, now he goes a bit haywire because he reveals his old captain killed every member of the crew that saw those coordinates, and then ordered SM-33 to destroy anyone and basically rip them apart if they ask about Attin. So now that everyone's in danger, the one weapon they have on hand, the blaster, stopped working. And not looking good, but until Neel throws a rock at SM-33. SM-33 now starts going after Neel, but that gives George the opportunity to go in and flip SM-33's power switch off. That is really good, and also perhaps show some maturity, some development in George's character. Yes, he was going to use the blaster first, but that was very smart that, that when he didn't resort to weird flailing with a stick or anything like that. No, he used his brains and just turned the power switch off. And this also connects up with Neel's arc. Yes, he's always been the most center, but this shows that he can be brave, that he does have it in him. He does say earlier, I think in the episode, that basically isn't more brave to seek peace than to seek war. I would kind of say yes, because true bravery is basically admitting you're scared, but still doing what needs to be done. And if peace is what it is, which in 99.9% of the cases is what probably should be done, then that's being truly brave. And sometimes there's no other option where you may have to fight back. And that's also what Neel does in this episode. He might be the true bravest because he does all those things despite being scared, which is definitely saying something very important about his character. While he may be the most cowardly in some regards, he's also the most willing to admit his fear, which does show some pretty true bravery that the other kids are just starting to get. Fern had a little bit of that in this episode, maybe Wim too. KB seems the most unfazed by all this stuff. She is also the best shot of the kids too. Probably helps having her texting on over her eyes. I'm just speculating on that. So we learned a lot about the mystery in this episode. We get some great character moments, and then the episode ends. We don't know what's happening next, but that's so great. Because now they're going to potentially have to search SM-33's databanks to figure out the information, or go to the other planets to figure stuff out. I have a series, so stay tuned for my updated theory video on the mystery of Attin. This might become a weekly tradition as a follow-up to these review episodes. But in brief, I'm wondering if that pirate captain might have been hired by the Republic to destroy our evidence. That's my theory. I'll expand that a bit more in the dedicated theory video, which should be coming out in a day or two, so stay tuned for that. There's so much more I can discuss, I'm sure I missed something. For example, this planet, so Attin, does have connections to the outside world. We do know that for a fact. Because one, they mentioned trading, so there's likely some trading. But also, if you look at the gear that this one tribe had, well, they had some Imperial Army Trooper helmets and goggles. They had some Rebel Pathfinder helmets from Rogue One, which also are very similar to World War II US helmets as well. I think that was definitely intentional way back in Rogue One. In fact, I'm pretty sure I talked about that in that might have been my second ever Star Wars video on the channel. I'll try to link it in the cards if I remember, where I talked about the World War II parallels in Rogue One and specifically the Battle of Scarif. Definitely older video, but if you want to check it out and see how far I've come, or how not far I've come in some cases, go check that out. Still don't script anything. I'm looking to take notes. But that's kind of a sidetrack. But the thing is, this planet is not as isolated as Attin. They at least have some contact, though it's probably very limited and they don't know much about the greater galaxy because they'll focus mostly on survival. But they do have a connection, so they're not totally lost. But that's where I'm truly going to end this video. Well, Attin may not be lost, Attin still is, and the kids still need to find their way home. So let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.